Real power, its gut punch, is all tied to one single tragic moment in history. Let's get into it. So the poem kicks off with this huge wave of pure triumph and relief. You can almost feel it, right? The dangerous journey, this fearful trip, is finally over. The ship made it through every storm and they've won the prize. It's just this moment of absolute unfiltered victory. And this whole first part of the poem is soaked in that feeling of a massive success, capturing this incredible high point for a whole nation. What Whitman's doing here is bottling up this feeling of profound national joy. I mean, just imagine a country that's been torn apart by a terrible war, and it's finally over. This is the sound of an entire nation taking a deep breath, that collective sigh of relief. And you can totally picture it. He paints such a vivid scene. This isn't some quiet return. You hear the bells ringing, you see the crowds on the shore just exploding with joy, waiting to welcome home the hero who led them through it all. But then, right when we're caught up in all this celebration, the poem just slams on the brakes. The tone shifts and it gets tragic, fast. And here is this jarring contrast. While everyone on the shore is celebrating, something is terribly, terribly wrong on the ship. The narrator's focus snaps away from the cheering crowds to a silent, personal tragedy that's unfolding right there on the deck. And boom, there it is, the heart of the poem. In the middle of this huge victory, the leader is gone. The triumphant return is completely overshadowed by this devastating loss. So, who is this captain, and what was this journey really all about? Well, to understand that, we've got to peel back the layers here. See, this poem isn't just a story about a boat. It's actually a powerful, extended metaphor for a massive event in American history. Okay, this right here is the key that unlocks the whole thing. The captain, he's President Abraham Lincoln. The ship, that's the United States itself. The fearful trip was the American Civil War, and the prize they won was saving the Union. So suddenly, every single line has this deeper meaning. Whitman is using this really familiar image of a ship and its captain to try and make sense of a national trauma, the assassination of the president at the very peak of his greatest victory. And this whole metaphor becomes even more powerful, even more heartbreaking, when you look at the specific timing of when this all went down. I mean, just look at these dates. The war ends on April 9th. The nation is celebrating. And just 6 days later, President Lincoln is dead. The absolute highest high and the lowest low, all happening in the same week. Whitman wrote this poem right in the middle of that whiplash, trying to capture that unbelievable mix of joy and grief. So yeah, this whole poem is a direct tribute, a lament for Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, the man who had literally just steered the ship of state through the most dangerous storm it had ever faced. You know, there's actually a word for this kind of poem. It's called an elegy. It's not just a story. It's a formal way of expressing mourning, basically designed to help a whole country process its grief. And what's interesting is its steady rhyme and rhythm. It's way more structured than Whitman's usual free verse style. That accessibility is a huge reason why this particular poem resonated so deeply with people and became his most famous work while he was alive. So what does this all mean? What's the poem's lasting legacy? It's really about how you navigate that impossible situation, that blend of triumph and tragedy. I mean, think about the victory here. It was monumental. The country was unified, the brutal war was finally over, and slavery was ended. These were incredible achievements. But the person telling the story, who's really speaking for the whole nation just can't feel that sweet victory because the leader who made it all happen is gone. And this line, wow, it just brings it all back to this quiet, personal, heartbreaking moment. While the crowds are on the shore celebrating this huge public win, the narrator is right there on the deck, face to face with the silent, irreversible fact that his captain is dead. The public joy and the private grief are in this terrible, direct conflict. And that's really why this poem has lasted so long. It's not just a simple celebration, and it's not just a simple funeral song. It lives in that complicated, messy space in between. It perfectly captures the feeling of winning something essential, but at a price that feels almost too high to bear. Ultimately, the poem leaves us with this huge, timeless question. It makes you think about how we, as people, as countries, are supposed to balance joy with sorrow. It was a vital question back in 1865, and honestly, it's one that's still profoundly relevant for all of us today.